Hello everyone. Today on Adventures with Paul we are actually doing some serious printing. We're doing the VESA monitor mount that I've been meaning to do. This is the main objective I've had in getting the 3D printer here. I have a little bit of an issue with a corner, trying to lift right there. Saw some suggestions about putting like little aprons tagging off the corner or like little discs coming off of it, something to increase the area on the bed right at the corner. So I'd have like, I'm thinking like 3 apron shaped tabs coming off, one from the center and then two of them off at an angle coming off of each corner to kind of help adhere the end of that X off to the bed. I was thinking maybe making them 10 millimeters long and maybe a millimeter thick, and kind of, well, they suggested disc shape. They said rounded corners don't lift as bad as pointy corners. So I took the spool off the top and set it back there. The filament was popping out of the spool like that and getting sucked down when it was up here, and I couldn't leave it unattended that way. We are at 8% done, 3.5 hours running so far. I had the speed cranked real low, like 25% of what it's running at right now. Just to get it to adhere to the bed better. I since cranked it up a couple of times. This is running at the default speed right now. And for the infill layer, basically it's doing a 40% honeycomb pattern on the inside there. And high speed is fine for that. I can actually set speeds for the perimeter, the holes. The holes in the middle there in particular, the two in the dead center, are actually going to neck down rather abruptly. It's at a slight angle, but it's still going to be considered bridging. So I can set a slower speed for that as well. But we had several failed attempts. This was a LCD holder. You can see I got a mirror finish on the surface that was against the bed. I printed out the front and back together. The back had a problem in the model. This is actually a curved, that's concave there. It counted it as a hole and it flagged an error, and when it reached the top of this curved surface it started trying to fill in across, and it got messy real fast, and then the head dragged into it and it separated it from the bed. And this was just a bad model to be working off of. When it Slicer flagged an error when it loaded, it said check your G-code. Well, I didn't know how to check the G-code. It was talking about a hole, and the only hole I saw on the thing was that square one, and it looked okay, but because that's concave there, this was actually a hole driven through the model, a hole bigger than what the actual part was, which I think is what it gave it a problem. But I did several of those. One of those separated from the build platform and just crunched it right up. And several tests. These separated. You can see the corner there lifted. It's kind of the same thing that's going on down there right now. But a corner lifted, the head caught it and knocked it right off the base. It's a small cross-sectional area on the actual bed, so it wasn't adhering all that well. That was just playing around getting things set. My first shot, you can see it was really good. This is one layer of plastic. It was really good there. It started getting iffy there. and got real iffy here. The bed wasn't level, and when it was doing the end here, it finally caught and peeled the end up, and I stopped it right at that point. The next one also got, it wasn't sticking to the bed, and the head caught it and lifted it, but it was going, I got the bed leveled nicely now. You can see it's a very pretty uniform thickness there. Nice mirror finish on the bottom. To get stuff to stick to the bed, that's PET film on Pyrex glass. And you paint it with a solution of acetone with ABS dissolved in it. I started out putting some just cut up filament, but then I found this is a great way of disposing of my mistakes. I just throw them in there and they just get dissolved. The thing I didn't mention was it takes like a day or two for the ABS to actually dissolve in the acetone enough to work. I don't know if you can see or not, but there's like a milky film on top of the PET coating there. Can't tell if you, yeah, there you can see it in the reflection of the lights. It's not uniform, but that's basically, you don't wipe it on. I tried wiping it on in the first place, and it's acetone, so you wind up wiping it off when you do that. I wet down a paper towel and blotted and got a nice coating on there. The acetone evaporates off very quickly, and it leaves the ABS material on the film, and that acts as like a tacky surface for everything to adhere to. You can see my filament is paying out there nicely. This is good enough for me to leave unattended. It's like 9 o'clock right now, I think, on the 3rd of July, and I don't want to stick around here as long as it's going to take to get this thing to complete. I am afraid that the head's going to catch that corner and knock the thing off the bed completely. And if that happens while I'm not around, it's not going to be pretty. I'm going to wind up with a big wad of extruded ABS on the bed with nothing underneath it to support it. It'll wind up, I don't even want to think about how big of a mess that's going to be. So I'm not exactly certain how long I'm going to stick around. I might try cranking the speed up a little more to try and get it to finish quicker. I mean, the math doesn't work. 9% with 3 hours and 32 minutes. One would think it's going to be, what, 30, 40 hours before it's completed, but remember I cranked the speed up, so it should be done, I'm hoping, much quicker. It's done 5% in probably an hour. Probably less than that, actually. But, because I went out to grab a bite, and when I got back, that's when I cranked it up to 200%. It's third line leftmost. That's the speed that it's running at relative to how it was sliced in Slicer. I cut the values from their default to 50%, and cranking it up to 200% now puts it back at the default values. Also, I cranked the temperature of the bed up. I got my infrared thermometer, and with 135 degrees on the bed indicated, and we don't hit the, it's not going to cooperate. There, I got, it's, the material is at about 102. If I can get a good shot at it there. So we're right at about 100. I might want to crank that up a little more. They say for the first layer you do 10 degrees C more than what you do for the rest of it. The max temperature the bed can be set to is 150 right now. I believe that's controlled in firmware. But the heater is on the other side of that glass. The glass serves as an insulator. Any sort of stray breeze or anything just from the thing moving around tends to cool it down. So just because the temperature indicated there is 135, that's not what the top surface of the bed actually is. A little tidbit they didn't really tell you at the start with. They actually gave me those numbers. 230 for the temperature of the nozzle is pretty accurate because the thermistor is actually inside the brass block with the heating resistor and the little melting chamber. So I think that's pretty close to what it really is. Anyhow, that's how things stand right now. I might be in here on Friday, 5th of July, to work on this a little bit more. 6th of July, we're heading out to a fireworks show in Lansing. Dan Eakin is putting on his usual phenomenal show, and I'm going to be bringing the whole family to see that. So I will catch you all later.